Now let's move from Disney Star Wars over to Disney MCU, because they know exactly what they're doing there too. And I'm going to point out some things. So the MCU, they, as I said, these are people, Kevin Feige himself, he's the man who presided over what was a glorious MCU through most of its existence, right up until when Captain Marvel and Endgame just completely dropped the ball and tried to turn it in a whole different direction and make it more about agenda than story. So they know what they're doing. They understand, and they see the difference. They also see, Captain Marvel did not do as well as a Marvel movie should, and it was not well received at all. Now they tried to paint that, of course, in the public as, oh, it's just a couple of angry fanboys. Of course they're going to try and do that. But no, they knew. They absolutely know that. Otherwise, we would have had a sequel to Captain Marvel long ago. Quarantine and all that kind of stuff aside, that we'd have had it long before that started. But they knew people aren't really liking her character. She's not engaging anybody. The ideologues who are already on the page with it, they'll go see it, but they aren't enough. So they knew that. And we heard talks and we heard rumors about Spider-Man's their ace in the hole, right? Spider-Man is a character. Spider-Man is Marvel's Batman. He's a character, and I don't mean in terms of the characters the same, but I mean in terms of he's a character that's so popular for them that if they do anything Spider-Man, people are going to go give it a chance, right? The End of the Spider-Verse, the stupid Miles Morales animated film that they did, that director, when he was making long before the movie even came out, he was getting in some trouble on Twitter for supporting Antifa and all this stuff, and people were saying, "How why would you be doing this when you're doing you're creating a film that you want people to see? Shouldn't you be?" And he basically said, "I don't care. You'll come see it anyway." And you know what? You did. You didn't care. As soon as that movie came out, it's actually a really good movie. No, you went and saw it anyway. If it's got Spider-Man on it, people cannot help themselves. Gotta go see it. Gotta consume that new product. And we'll talk about some different levels of that with Spider-Man here in a second. I'm wearing my Spider-Man is Amazing Friends shirt there just to complement the topic tonight. So what were they going to do then? They knew that the agenda that they were trying to push for the MCU isn't going to win them the numbers and whatnot to ultimately keep those shareholders happy. Well, look at what they did after Endgame, which also divided fans. There was no way, as I pointed out many times, there was no way Endgame wasn't going to make a ton of money because it was the culminating movie of this whole big, long, thing. People were going to go see it no matter what. And we didn't even know the nonsense was going to be in it. I saw it opening night, and I didn't know any of that nonsense was in it until I was sitting there in the theater seeing it, So there's no way that movie was going to be successful, but they also know that it divided people because they put in solid about-face turns from good storytelling to agenda in the movie Endgame. It's just there. Making Sam Wilson suddenly the new Captain America, that's an about-face from story, because the story was about Steve Rogers' relationship with Bucky. Bucky is the one, his friendship with Bucky is what drove his character all the way. They just kind of, we just sort of ignore that now. They knew what they were doing with Thor, big, strong, virile, hetero white guy. Oh, we gotta break him down and throw some food at him, and mock him up a little bit. Got to do that. Hulk, big, strong, male aggression, toxic masculinity. Oh no, we gotta soy him up big time. They knew what they were doing. But how to get people not to turn their back on the MCU? What's the very next movie they released after Endgame, guys? The next Spider-Man movie, because they knew people couldn't say no. Now, a lot of people hate the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I'm on record for actually really loving Homecoming. I know the differences. I know the things they changed about it, but as I was maintaining at the time, the core of the character is still there. And they did change some things to make him fit into the MCU at that late juncture in time, which, they should have been able to introduce him much earlier, of course. But I maintain that was still absolutely, and I love that. I really think Homecoming was an artistic film. And I was actually really excited about seeing Far From Home when I first saw the trailer release, because it was before Endgame and everything. But after Endgame and this stupid, was it 5 year gap and all this kind of stuff, I realized that's not a universe I want to spend time in anymore. Not a universe I want to spend time anymore. Doesn't matter if it's a Spider-Man movie. But it's got that allure of Spider-Man on it, and people just had to go see it. I heard people who hated the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie say, but I feel like I got to see this one because it's the first time Mysterio's ever on the big screen. I got to go support that. No, you don't. Why do you have to go? No, you don't. You just cannot. You're so weak. You can't not consume product that you'll find any excuse to go and consume the product that has the picture of your favorite character on it, even if it's not anything remotely resembling that character. If it's got the logo, you got to go identify with it, fanboy. You know, that kind of nonsense. So they threw Spider-Man Far From Home out first. Did they give us anything? You know, what else? What else did they release? Did they announce the Black Widow movie? Because think about it, the Black Widow movie. If they threw a Spider-Man movie out first, because that's a sexy name, the Spider-Man. That's going to get people, you know, even who are resistant, they're still going to kind of want to come to see Spider-Man. So that's going to drive numbers up. Just that title, that character's name. Then they put out a Black Widow, or announced it anyway. I know it didn't come till much later, but the next movie they were going to basically put out was the Black Widow, which was set in continuity long before Endgame, you know, or the Captain Marvel was revealed in that universe or whatever. So that was another ploy. Let's see if people will come back to at least see a story that took place beforehand, you know. And then all the nonsense came about the writer, who was very honest and blatantly said, I know nothing about comics or nothing about Black Widow, but I could not turn down this opportunity to preach my agenda with such a popular character and a built-in platform. You know, she was honest about that, told you flat out. And then the trailer came out and people were like, oh, that actually looks pretty good. People are so quick to just ignore and they want to be duped. They want to be duped. So Marvel, the MCU, is playing fast and loose, and they put out they went through the Disney Plus thing, and the Disney Plus shows didn't come until quite late into all of the. Again, I'm trying to avoid watchwords for the stream, but you know, people having to stay home for a time, you know, for reasons there. That Disney Plus, the success of that played into it. Let's put out the Scarlet Witch and the Cap Falcon show, which doesn't really care about Winter Soldier or whatever, you know. They know what they're doing there, and then they released the Eternals trailer, and no one's excited about the Eternals. No one's excited about the Eternals. The Eternals is nonsense. Everybody knows, except for like the ideologues who are going to go see it anyway, you know. People know the Eternals is going to be a bunch of garbage agenda preaching. I mean, that's they don't even try to hide it. That's exactly what the Eternals is going to be. So they announced that, but what's the movie that they release right around the same time? Another Spider-Man movie. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And in this Spider-Man movie, let's try to really rope in everybody who didn't like our handling of Spider-Man with the Tom Holland. So let's go back and get Tobey Maguire and Doc Ock and Green Goblin, probably, who knows, and Andrew Garfield. Let's make it like a multiverse kind of Spider-Man movie. Let's bring them all in. People are gonna go see, and I've heard this so many times. Yeah, I'm not a big, you know, MCU Spider-Man fan, but hey, yeah, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I mean, I just love those movies so much, and that scene when Doc Ock shows up. I mean, you know, that means so much to me. I can't not go support it. No, if it meant anything to you at all, you would have the willpower to stay home and realize what an absolute shame. We could have had the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man verse back in so many different ways, and it's going to come back to us as a ploy to get people to watch and continue to partake of a cinematic universe that they don't care about anymore. That's what you're getting, it baited on a hook for you to come watch this movie and give it your money and support. Same thing with people who are really into the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield and all of that. DC's doing the same thing. Nobody, and I mean nobody, likes Ezra Miller as the Flash. Nobody. But they are pulling out every possible stop they can in this Flashpoint movie. Michael Keaton as Batman is back, and they're going to throw out all of this. You know, let's just throw out everything on the board, and people will have to come because, you know, like, really just have been waiting so long to see Keaton as Batman again. And no, if it meant something to you, then you wouldn't go support this nonsense, because what a shame that this is the way he returns. What a shame that this is the way we get any kind of glimpse into the Tobey Maguire verse again. It was the same thing with the CW Crisis, you know. What a horrid spit in the face to Kevin Conroy that you finally get him to play a live action Batman in his Murder Man, like a Dark Knight Returns kind of style. What a spit in the face of Tom Welling and Erica Durance that you finally get the Smallville cast back, and they're just well yeah, if you like Smallville, he just eventually gave up his powers. I mean, they delight in spitting in fans' faces. They delight in showing how much they can rub your nose in it, and delight in the fact that you will still shut up and come give them your money and support or pirate it and think you're doing something secret and not helping them. They've got you. They've got you. They know all of these. They have these tricks, and they know that people are so weak-willed. They must consume. Oh, we must consume the product. Just, and they people will hate on people like me who dare speak this truth because it's inconvenient to their desire, their addiction, and they'll flock to the channels instead that are saying, hey, I think they're really going to treat, they're doing it well. They're doing it well. They might be turning it around now, guys. No, that's just playing into that, throwing you a bone. And we also know, too, that this movie is the end of the Spider-Man trilogy. I guarantee you this movie, if not at the actual end of this movie, then it's going to be leading into it at some point where they will brush Peter Parker aside and either bring in Miles Morales or Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider, as they call her. Because we can't have this white heterosexual male as one of our main heroes anymore. They will brush him aside just as quickly as they can. They'll use him for everything they can to try and get their numbers up right now. But no, they will. I guarantee you, they are working towards bringing in Miles Morales to replace him, or Spider-Gwen or something like that. I guarantee you. And they know that people will just shut up and go watch it because you're weak.